got a few people here, and I'll check that everything's coming through loud and clear. Got my work stuff sitting over there. Please do let me know if this is coming through loud and clear and you can hear me okay. I've got my computer open here so I can have a look at what everybody is commenting. If there's any people in the chat. It's my first live video for, probably a good month. Oh, here we go. Christopher Cardi, I hear ya. Thank you, Christopher, for clarifying. Hey, Andrew, Mark, Park. Mean Metal Mike, my man. When will we see Phil Rudd? Yeah, that's it's the $1 million question. We will get there. Oh, here we go. People are chipping in now. Good to see everybody. In terms of live videos, as I say, this is the first live video I've done for a good while. I'm out of practice. I didn't particularly have a topic for this live chat. I was hoping that it would be driven by you guys, and I could kind of respond to you guys and see what everybody wants to talk about, like an opportunity, yeah, to hear from you guys and see what's going on. Mark Park, love the channel, dude. Thank you so much, Mark. Ryan O'Hara, let's go. Hey, Jason Sayers Drums. Hey, bro, I'm just off to bed, but thought I'd pop on to say hi real quick. Jason, you're over in England, is that right? What is the time over there? 10:36 p.m. Come on, man. Live a little. Thomas Frickel. Hi, Andrew. Hello from Europe, Czech Republic. After drums, what is your second favorite musical instrument? Good question. I'll put it this way. I'll probably bass. But if I could learn another instrument, and I did learn a little bit of this instrument when I was at music school, piano. And a good tip for anybody who is coming up on drums or wants to be a professional musician or just wants to be a musician in general, get piano lessons. I think it's the best overall music instrument to teach you about music. You can create songs, obviously, chords, harmony, melody, rhythm. It's got everything there. Drums are great, but piano's great too. Jason says drums. Yep. He confirms that it is 10:37 and he's off to bed. Good night, my man. Good to see you. By the way, cheers, everybody. I love this. We need a video just with everybody saying where they're from and where they're checking in from. I love that. For example, Ed S. Hola, saludos, Andrew de Mexico. Hola. I hope to go to Mexico really soon, actually. I have been to, I don't really consider it Mexico, but where did I go on my cruise gig? One of the ports, very, very sort of Americanized, and once you got out of the port, it was a little bit more real deal Mexico, but yeah, have not spent enough time over there. Mark Park, I have sad news. I cracked my china today. For anybody who's not aware, china is not the fine china that you eat off, china cymbal. So that's unfortunate. Hopefully it wasn't overly expensive. Not under warranty or anything. Christopher Cardi, 237 in Arizona. Right. Also spent some time in Arizona, man, and I think I've said this multiple times on the channel before. Cannot wait to get back to the States. Bungee Jumper 765, hello from Oregon. Brendan Symington, hello Andrew, love the Black Sabbath reactions, enjoy you reviewing the legendary Bill Ward, and happy birthday to Bill Ward, 75. I just posted something about this the other day. I believe it was the 5th of, was it the 7th? It was in the last couple of days, his 75th birthday. So happy birthday to the man, the legend, Bill Ward. Someone who I completely missed as a drummer. And oh man, just really, really connect with his style and just stunned at how good he is. Ryan O'Hara, hello from Chicago. What's your favorite decade of music? The 80s. I'm a child of the 80s, and I would challenge anybody out there. The 80s was cheesy, man. But I challenge anyone out there to not pick basically their childhood decade as their favorite decade of music. If you were a kid in the 70s, it's going to be 70s music for you. If you're a child of the 60s, it's going to be 60s music. It's just the way it works. All right, I'm going to try and keep up with the comments, although that is a lot of me looking at my screen and showing off my beautiful hairline. But I think it's important on these videos to read out as many comments as I can. So, Bungee Jumper 765, I must say thank you. You introduced me to the legendary Stanton Moore. I don't know if I'm hoping to get Stanton on the channel. We've had a few back and forth, Stanton and I, talking about doing stuff, and he's a great guy and a phenomenal drummer. I need to get back onto that. My schedule's been all over the place. Yeah. Now that I've got some kind of normality, been back in New Zealand, and my schedule can get going again, I need to get back onto my interviews and podcasts. Gutted to hear it was a Zildjian Oriental China. It's an expensive mistake. Well, not a mistake, an expensive damage. Tedra Palsky! I just happened to catch this. Good to see you. I have not been online much. Where are you on coffee? How is the Seaman? Well, to be honest, we're a little bit low on coffee, but I did get this. It wasn't sent, my wife got it at her work, Vietnamese coffee. Now, I don't know how familiar anyone out there is with Vietnam or the culture or what it's like to travel in Vietnam. I've never been, I don't know. But apparently they are just coffee freaks. And you know, every second shop is a cafe, and the coffee is really different and really, really nice. So I'm currently drinking Vietnamese coffee. Mean Metal Mike, Ringo or Moon? It's fighting talk, man. I am just gonna, I'm gonna have to say Ringo. Probably the most misunderstood, underrated drummer. Although he sold a lot of albums, obviously, but underrated in the sense that you see drummers dissing him, dissing Ringo. Ringo's a monster drummer, great drummer. It's great to see you, Ted, my coffee buddy. If ever I get over stateside, I will be hitting you up, Ted. We're gonna go out and, instead of a pub crawl, we're gonna do a cafe crawl. Go around and sample the best coffee in town. What else we got here? Richard Harold, I'm a child of the 90s, but I grew up on classical music, so I don't relate to most of the 90s. Aside from a bit of Oasis and Seattle grunge. Oh, I'm not much of a Seattle, I am a Seattle guy. I'm not much of an Oasis person, I must admit. Richard Harold, Quincy Jones says Ringo is utterly useless. Yeah, I tell you what, Quincy Jones has got a lot of strange opinions. I've seen some very unusual interviews with him. I always considered him someone who's completely got it together and is just obviously so successful and so brilliant. Very inconsistent in interviews. I don't know why anyone would say that though. But even if, this is my argument with Lars, even if he was useless, I'll take devil's advocate, let's say he is useless or was useless. Why would you go around saying that? It's just such an unusual and horrible thing to say, you know? Mean Metal Mike, Bill Ward versus John Bonham. You've really put me on the spot here. And I think for my personal style, what I personally listen to and what I personally like and what I want to sound like, it's going to shock people. I'm probably going to have to go with Bonham. Just the overall big beat, the big sound and the groove and the pocket. Bill Ward, completely different animal. Completely different animal. I quite like this. Drummer versus drummer. I mean, I'm going to get myself in trouble and people are going to hate me for it. But it's quite an interesting concept. It really puts me on the spot. Now, me saying that doesn't mean I think Bonham is better than Bill Ward or anything like that. Not at all. They're just totally different. And for my personal drumming and what I want to do, yeah, I'll go with Bonham there. Richard Howard, working with him on a project and had to scrap all his tracks, replace them with a session drummer. Ringo didn't even notice. Oh well. What can you say? I mean, Ringo working with Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones was used to working with people like JR and I mean, who else? Picaro. I mean, the most precise one take session dudes in the history of music. Ringo's not that. Ringo's again a different monster. Yeah, I don't think the Ringo Quincy is a good combo, to be honest. Christopher Cardi, have you heard Charlie Benante? Yes, people have requested Charlie Benante. I'm assuming he's a drummer. Let's have a look. Okay. Oh, Pantera. Anthrax? And was he in Pantera as well? Or is in Pantera? Okay. Yep. I'll love to check it out. What else we got here? Kevin Smith. Any John Mayer fans here? Hell yes. If so, Steve Jordan versus Aaron Sterling. Come on. If any of you guys don't follow Aaron Sterling's Instagram page, get on it. Hilarious. And just a incredible drummer. I mean, I'm personally going to have to go with Steve Jordan because he's one of my favorite drummers of all time. But Aaron Sterling, I mean, damn. Everybody who saw John Mayer here, they were here a couple of years ago, and Aaron Sterling was playing drums. Just everybody was completely floored at the pocket and yeah, everything. Phil Rudd versus Meg White. I don't know a heck of a lot about Meg White, so I'll go Phil Rudd on that one. But all respect to Meg White, another person who's totally unfairly treated. Phil Rudd versus Charlie Watts. Oh my God. Me Metal Mike, what are you doing to me? They're so different. You can't even... Charlie Watts is yeah, no, they're just, they are really are chalk and cheese. So I don't know. Frank Beard versus Phil Taylor. Hold on. Who's Frank Beard? It's like 5 people out there going, you don't know Frank Beard. Oh, ZZ Top. Okay. I don't know much about their live stuff. Frank, who was the other one? Phil Taylor. Who's Phil Taylor? English drummer and a former professional darts player. No, that's a different person. Oh, Motorhead. Okay, no, I can't compare these people. I can't say who's my favorite because I don't know enough about either of them. Oh, Christopher Cardi, I think Pantera for the reunion tour is Benante. Richard Harold, I personally think the Beatles are massively overrated. I did a whole live video on this. I find the vast majority of the material trite, saccharine, inane, and two-dimensional. Yesterday and Eleanor Rigby have decent melodic lines. Yeah, but you got to look at what era that music was made in. They basically created the whole genre. So no, I wouldn't agree with you there. Bungee Jumper 765, Evans versus Remo. Remo. Decisive. Daniel B. What is your take on blast beats from extreme metal bands? Yeah, that's a good one. I would be lying if I didn't say I found it a bit weird in terms of the amount of focus and effort around that one beat, which has got its own name now, a blast beat, right? I find the fascination around it and the BPMs, like people really, really get into, 240, I did, blast beat at 240, and I find that interesting, but completely foreign. That whole view on music and that whole view on drumming and speed and that whole focus is foreign to me. It's very, very alien to me. So yeah, I mean, I can't do it. I've never played a blast beat in my life. So yeah, it's something different, and I think that's probably one of the real bonuses that accidentally probably happened on this channel. Was a lot of people requested metal songs, and I'm not a metal drummer, and I don't know much about metal at all. So it was interesting for me to, I guess, discover it in front of your very eyes. Whisper, which you think is more important, the skills of the drummer or how he looks, he or she, come on, and fits with the band? E.g., should Ringo have been replaced by a better... All this Ringo talk today. Ringo is an amazing drummer. And I don't just mean in terms of a song drummer, wrote great parts for the Beatles, and they wouldn't have been hits if it wasn't. I don't even mean that. I mean just purely as a drummer. There is a video of Help live. I believe it's in 1964 from memory, and it's a lightning fast shuffle. And the way he plays it, I would challenge anybody to play it better, or anyone to play a shuffle at that speed. And there's videos like that around where you see how good Ringo is as a drummer, not even as a musician and as a contributor to the most successful band of all time, purely as a drummer. Monster drummer, trust me. But that's just my opinion. You get people who really perhaps just don't like the Beatles. I mean, you get bombarded with Beatles music, right? And you just can't. At some point in your life, you've heard Beatles music, you cannot escape it. So yeah, some people are going to like it, some people aren't. They're the most successful band ever, so a lot of people liked it. All right, what else we got? The BA? I know you're a Bill Ward fan. Did you know the Breakout, Swinging the Chain has Bill Ward on vocals? I have not heard that yet. They needed another song for the Never Say Die album, so they wrote it with about their split with Ozzy. Okay, clearly I will be getting to that at some point, definitely. Brainstormer, what drummer has influenced your drumming style the most? This one's going to be weird, I think, for most people. Maybe a lot of people won't even know this drummer. Tony Thompson. He was the drummer in Chic with Nile Rodgers, and he was also a session player because Nile Rodgers was the session king, and Tony Thompson would be on a bunch of these sessions. I think accidentally, without really studying him too much, but having listened to a lot of his music and the tracks he's been on, I've ended up probably being most influenced by him, I think. And probably Jeff Porcaro, although I don't sound like Jeff Porcaro. But yeah, just such a fan of Jeff Porcaro and digging into his many thousands of songs that he recorded. Mean Metal Mike, why do people play AC/DC songs wrong? I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that. Guitar or drums, or do you mean in drum covers? Maybe clarify that. But the reason people play things like AC/DC wrong, or the Beatles, or whatever, is they underestimate it and they don't understand it. So people think Phil Rudd, not everybody, but some people think Phil Rudd is just a simpleton, bare basic drummer. But I mean, if I put on my Whiplash hat for a second and be the teacher who is going to teach you a hard lesson, I could say to you, well, play it for me. Play Back in Black right now. And then I will be able to show you why it doesn't sound good. And why Phil Rudd does sound good. People just don't know what they don't know. And then if you took it a step further, you could record that person. If they can't hear it in the moment, this is a brutal way to teach, by the way, which I would never normally get away with. But if they can't hear it in the moment, which is very, very common, that's when you would record them. So if someone, for example, Mean Metal Mike, to your point, if they think they can play like Phil Rudd, and then they play it, and then they think they just nailed it, then you record them. And then when they listen back, they invariably would say, oh, is that me? That's the way it works. Recording yourself is probably the most powerful way to improve, because in the moment, your CPU power in your brain is all taken up with what you are doing, what you're playing and what you're trying to do. You haven't got any CPU power left to actually listen to what you are doing in the moment and how you are bouncing off the rhythms in the song, or your time, or your internal dynamics. Record yourself, you completely separate all that, and you can listen to it objectively with distance. And that is when the light bulb clicks. There's two types of drummers in the world, those who have recorded themselves and those who haven't. And the drummers who haven't, or the musicians who have never recorded themselves, same with singing, they don't know what they sound like. So you've got a whole bunch of singers out there who think they are brilliant, but they've actually literally never heard themselves sing if they haven't recorded themselves. Anyway, rant over, let's move on. Neil Peart versus Phil Collins. I'm gonna have, you're trying to end my channel, man. I have to go with Phil Collins just with legacy, just with what I know. And I have not been back to Neil Peart nearly enough. I need to get back to Neil Peart. Let's carry on. Whisper, A Day in the Life has been said to be one of the best songs written. If so, is it due to the contrast of the parts or something else? What is A Day in the Life? Sorry. People are clutching their pearls. A Day in the Life by the Beatles. I don't know that song. Maybe I'd know it if I heard it. Oh, Daniel, excellent, thanks, man. I think that's in reference to the blast beat question. What I will say is really, really cool with metal dudes is they will accept feedback like that. Like if I'm just really honest and I say, oh, you know, I think it's a bit weird, like that focus on one beat, which is like a single stroke roll, right? Metal fans are so cool. And they're so, of all the fans, metal fans I think are the coolest in terms of humility and being really humble. It's amazing, actually. What else we got? Me Metal Mike, check out Lee Kerslake from Uriah Heep and Ozzy Osbourne, very Motown shuffle type of drummer. Sounds like my kind of player. I take it you know Perth's Voyager, an excellent metal band. I do not. They qualified for Eurovision final tonight representing Australia. Okay, maybe I will get to that. Whisper, perhaps it was poor of us to use Ringo as an example, so to rephrase, should the fit of the drummer with the band trump his overall skills? Yes. Absolutely. 100%. Charlie Watts and the Rolling Stones. Chef's kiss, perfect. The perfect drummer for the Rolling Stones. You couldn't get a better drummer for the Rolling Stones. Is he the best drummer in the world? No. But, I mean, technically, no, of course not. Best drummer for the Rolling Stones, though. Whisper, do you think people appreciate music more if it's harder to listen to? That's what she said. E.g., are they more committed listening to vinyl, therefore making music better, rather than skipping via Spotify? That's interesting. I think people's listening times have really gone down. It was really a thing back in the day where you didn't just have music on tap. I mean, you had the radio, but like I would go out and buy an album and put it on from start to finish. Start to finish. And you start to hear those album tracks, which invariably become your favorite songs on the album, right? Because you get hammered with the hit songs, which is why you probably originally brought the album, but then you hear those album tracks and you start to love those. So I don't know if that answers your question. But yeah, I think it was more of a commitment. Well, for one, you had to buy the music. Music's basically free now, isn't it? So there was an initial commitment there, and I think you value it more. You're more likely to really appreciate that artwork and sort of look after it. I don't know, clean it, you know, and put it pride of place on your dressing gown. I don't know, whatever. Very, very different now. I'm also, what's that? Richard Harold, I'm also not a fan of Ozzy Ward era Sabbath. Dio Appice much more compelling. Iommi Butler played far better with them. Ozzy's solo records written by the hired guns are better than early Sabbath. Well, there you go. I think, Richard, we probably disagree on just about everything, but that's okay. Man, you're allowed your point of view. You're absolutely allowed your point of view. Ted Trupowski. The thing about Ringo is that he has some of the most iconic beats out there. Agree. You can identify many songs by just Ringo. The way he used being a lefty and playing righty set him apart as well. Yeah, man, I was just teaching Come Together yesterday to a student, and you basically dum dum shada da dum ba da da bum. That ba da da bum around the toms. You can only do that really leading on your left as singles. As you say, he's a lefty. Now, obviously, you could change the orchestration of those toms. There's no law against that. But there's just so many little idiosyncrasies and weird counterclockwise ascending tom fills that happen in Beatles songs that a right-handed player is just never going to play like that. And you would never make those choices in your playing. So it's just so interesting in that regard. Probably need to do a bit of a Beatles breakdown at some point, I think. Bepson 30. Opinions on Vinnie Colaiuta. One of the best drummers of all time. One of all-time favorites, yes. And then Richard knows that I idolize him, rightly so. Next video is originally a Vinnie Colaiuta track. We'll leave it there. Next reaction. But Vinnie Colaiuta, you know, played with Megadeth and then is playing with Herbie Hancock and everyone in between. I mean, legit one of the great drummers of all time. Daniel B. Night greetings from Ireland. Good luck with the channel. Regards to ye all. Thank you so much, Daniel. Church of the Holy Mo is back. Caught a live stream. I think I'm going to have to go blow my nose. So that's not a comment, by the way. That's me talking. Just talk amongst yourselves for a second. Came back from my overseas trip, and every second person on the plane sneezing and coughing, and we all got sick when we got back. So Ted Trapelski, always love your comments, man. Although I am a Van Halen fan, to me Alex was just a guy that hit hard. No. Then as I matured, I noticed that he is actually deeply rooted in swing. Alex Van Halen, another completely underrated drummer. I never hear people talk about Alex Van Halen. I did a cover of Jump. And yeah, I mean, Jump. You may look at it as a cheesy 80s song, which maybe it is. I love it. Check out the drum part in that song. And tell me it's not genius. It's just great. It's just great. And then Ted again. I went down a Steve Gadd rabbit hole not too long ago. The Asia solo in Steely Dan and the intro for 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover is swing love, and he does not hit hard at all. Hopefully you caught my 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover drum cover. Try saying that 10 times. 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover drum cover. I did that. When did I do that? I think I did that before I left 2 months ago, probably. Yeah, that's a great song. I'm not saying I played it like Gadd. No one can play it like Gadd, but I did my best. Me Metal Mike. Ringo says he's playing Rolling Up the Toms on Come Together. Yep, that's why it's so weird. I mean, I've played that song 1,000 times at gigs, and I just play it descending like a righty. You know, no one's going to know or care, but I know. There is a video of Yoyoka playing poorly. Come Together at 4 years old. Well, 4 years old, come on. I didn't even know what a drum kit was at 4 years old. Okay, I think I've missed a few. If I have missed your comment, please, it's not because I don't like it or I don't want to read it. It's just the chat moves. And it can be a little bit hard to keep up with. Oh, Me Metal Mike, I don't think you've done a Cozy Powell reaction yet. He's one of the best session hard rock drummers to push for the huge bombastic sound. I think I have done I mean, this is terrible that I don't know off the top of my head, but I think I have done a Cozy Pal video. Hold on. Cozy? Cozy. Let's see, I'm going to type it in. Oh, no. I just did Kill the King, covered by Yu Yoka. So no, I have not actually done a Cozy Pal reaction yet. Okay. Chris Slade. Talking about Chris Slade versus Phil Rudd now. Both powerhouse drummers, but again, completely different, right? Apparently there's a concert of Chris Slade. What's that big concert he did? I think there's footage of it that went pretty viral of him doing Thunderstruck, and he's got those two big, like the gong drums. I heard the engineer from that gig, was it the engineer? Or someone was talking about the engineer from the gig. They isolated his drums and they beat mapped, like they put it on a grid. And he was playing live in front of that many people, and it was basically BPM perfect, start to finish. Chris Slade, Welsh drummer, right? So yeah, just like a clock. I mean, that guy's time feel is just, but very machine-like. Not as much dirtiness as Phil Rudd. Not as much swing and feel, much more machine-like, which is perfect for a song like Thunderstruck. But yeah, just some thoughts on that. CL Lewis. Oh, hold on, it's moved again. Why can't I go back? I think, oh, there we go. Can you cover Sleep Token? C Lewis 001. No. Simple answer to that. Cannot play any of that stuff and will not be covering it. What do we got here? Wimpy McCoat, Man with a Million Excuses. That's a hell of a name. Best live show? Question mark. Saw Pink Floyd in Cleveland. They played 3 hours in a thunderstorm, 2 nights in a row. Fantastic. I think the best show I've seen was probably Steve Hackett with Craig Blundell playing drums. That was, I think, the best drumming I have ever seen live in person in my life. Craig Blundell. Got to hang out with him a bit as well. Great guy. Gave him a little keepsake from New Zealand. That was just a phenomenal concert. I could not believe what I was seeing. Now I've featured Craig Blundell on the channel with Stephen Wilson, I think it was. And he commented on that video, so that's how I got in touch with Craig Blundell. Oh yeah, I've done one of him with Steve Hackett and one of him with Stephen Wilson. A lot of you might not know Craig Blundell. Just a freak of a drummer. I guess if you want some kind of ballpark of what to expect, somewhere in the sort of Gavin Harrison world of extreme technical proficiency, but great feel. Excuse me. Brainstormer. Who's your favorite drummer from the grunge era? I have to go with Matt Cameron. But in saying that, how do you keep Dave Abruzzese out of the conversation and Sean Kinney? Those drummers are just so good. But I have to go with Matt Cameron because of all the bands, Soundgarden were my favorite of all the bands. And the drumming on Soundgarden, unbelievable. What else we got here? Thomas Costa, thanks for the recent Tori Amos, Matt Chamberlain content. That specific show is awesome. Totally agree. Absolutely adore that stuff. Clockwork Angel, you should check out a newer Canadian band called Crown Lands. Now, I believe Steve from Junk Drummer TV was talking about this. Crown Lands. Might be wrong, but I'm sure he mentioned these guys. The drummer is the lead singer. Okay. Me Metal Mike saying I haven't done Nick Mason yet. That's completely true. I have not, although I've done a cover of Money in 4/4. It's the closest I've got so far. Watch Phil's version of Thunderstruck. He just swings the heck more than Chris's version. But I think it's Chris on the album too, isn't it? Yeah. All right. Warren. Steve Hackett is so great. That was a hell of a concert, man. Hell of a concert. The BA, have you listened to Triumph yet? Great Canadian band. Rick Emmett, guitar. Mike Levine, bass. Jill Moore, drums, lead, backing vocals. Nope, have not got to them. A lot of people mentioned Triumph when I was sort of doing all my Rush videos. So it's obviously a band that I need to check out. Nico McBrain versus Mickey D. I don't know enough about either drummer to make any call on that, sorry. Richard Howard again. Love all the grunge drummers, but Dave Grohl is up there for iconic beats. How could I forget about Dave Grohl? I completely forget that he's a grunge era drummer. SLTS. What's SLTS? Is a cliche, but his Disco Bonham hammering made it instantly... Oh, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Made it instantly recognizable, plus all his other drumming. Yeah. Dave Grohl, one of the best, possibly one of the best musicians of all time, not just drummers. Just I use this term very rarely. Dave Grohl is a genius. I'll just put it out there. Buddy Rich versus Gene Krupa. I think I have to go with Buddy, just because Gene Krupa to me is almost from the previous generation to Buddy. I just much prefer Buddy's feel and chops, and yeah. Again, all respect to Gene Krupa, one of the original masters who brought drumming into the limelight, really. Whisper. Should musicians be mindful of the fact that it may be fun to play solos, but not so fun listening to them, especially for several minutes? Comments. I think that's solo. I mean, solos are for musicians, really, aren't they? When it comes to solos, I don't hear a lot of solos in modern music, unless it's like prog or something. But like modern pop songs, I mean, you'd be lucky if there's a guitar even in the song to start with. And you're not going to get a keyboard solo in a modern pop song. Yeah. I wonder what sort of genre, or are you talking about live, or yeah, I'm not sure. I get a bit bored with solos, to be honest. I mean, you've got to be a really good soloist to hold people's attention, right? Don't know what to say on that one. Put it this way, if I was putting together a band at the moment, whether it's originals or certainly covers, I don't want solos in it. No. There are some solos which are so good and so iconic, like Sweet Child of Mine, which has got probably 4 guitar solos in it. where it's almost just an extra melody part of the song. So that's different. That's really melodic thinking playing. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Oh, you've clarified here. Let's say guitar, as in doing it so, as fast and as quick as you can, just for the sake of it. Yeah, no, that doesn't work with me. I'm not into that. I'm not into speed. I don't really find speed very compelling or very impressive or interesting on its own. When it's someone like Estepario Subiriano, where he's playing this great stuff and then he blazes this chop really fast right where you wanted it, that's great. That's what I want. Wolfram Reactor 74. Hey mate, Mark Copen here. Mark, how you doing, man? Long time no talk. Good to see you, buddy. I've been keeping up with your Instagrams and seeing that you get out to a hell of a lot of live shows, so I'm very jealous of that, Mark. Church of the Holy Mo. Didn't Dave Grohl say that Smells Like Teen Spirit was inspired by the Gap Band or Cameo or similar? Which is funny because I love the Gap Band and Cameo. And then Richard Harold's replied to you. He said it was a combination of Bonham's power with the flaming style of DC disco. Yeah. And then your Me Metal Mike's asking me about Vinnie Paul. I don't know Pantera at all. I need to get onto that. Wolfram Reactor. Mark Copen just saw Huckin'. Nice. Now what did I do on Huckin'? I did Ray Hearn, Natal Drums, playthrough of 1985, and I also did Earthrise. Okay. These are going back a bit. 1985 was 2 years ago, so yeah. Going back, haven't kept familiar with Huckin'. Whisper. As a drummer, we love playing on our own, but we detest listening to drumming on its own. Is it unfair of us? I like listening to drumming on its own. I could listen to Steve Jordan play a groove all day. Ariel Coyante? Am I saying your name right, Ariel Coyante? Actually, I believe you might be on, are you in Argentina? Anyway, you've said hola, hola back to you. I think I am going to have to sign off soon, guys. My coffee has gone cold. Oh yeah, no, I need to heat that up. And I need to get about my day. I'm going to be recording some new stuff today. So I need to get onto that before young Connor gets home and starts tearing up the house. Me Middle Mike. John Bonham would go to clubs to watch other drummers play and have several jams with Bill Ward, with him usually yelling in his usual way, Billy, how come you got so many drums, Bill? Gratuitous footnote. Well, if it hasn't been answered yet, when will you get to Black Sabbath Volume 4? I think I've done a few songs off Black Sabbath Volume 4. Richard Harold, Andrew, Yoyoka, Char Smokey. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go controversial here. Wimpy McPote Man with a million excuses says, money being no object, best tone wood for your favorite kit. I'm not sure wood has a tone. This is where everybody comments and says, no, birch is bright, maple's in the middle, mahogany's warm. Really? No. I actually agree with this comment. Tone paint is where it's at. Those old kits where they used to paint the inside of the shell, those kits sound completely different, if that's what you're talking about. But what wood do I like the best? I'm a recording custom guy from way back, so I'm going to have to go with birch. 6-ply birch, Yamaha recording custom. Can't afford the kit, but if money was no option, if money was no problem, I would go with that. What else we got here? Oh, I've been corrected. Remember, hearken rhymes with bacon. Haken. Fauna is ridiculous. Elephants never forget. May just break your brain. Okay, well, I'll need to get back to that, obviously. Oh, Church of the Holy Mo. I was joking about the paint. Paint can affect the sound, because, I mean, that is getting into the shell and it's creating a different reflective surface. My favorite kit, recording custom, is painted with piano paint on the inside and the outside. Smashing Pumpkins guy said white guitars sound better, but I like your response. Yeah, no, it's all about the player. When it comes to drums, not talking about cymbals. Cymbals different. Cymbals quality really matters because you're hitting the cymbal. Drums, you don't hit the drum. It's what you need to remember with drums. You're not hitting the drum. You're hitting a piece of plastic on a drum. That plastic is seated over a round piece of wood. There's only so much you can do. You can make the wood thick or thin or smooth or coarse. And I can't even say that more expensive drums are going to be more true and more round and have more accurate edges, because that's not even true either. So I really take a lot of that out of the equation, to be honest. I find acrylic drums sound really different, far more dead and thuddy sounding than wooden drums. Wood does resonate different, but in terms of different types of wood, I don't think it's a big factor, to be completely honest. Much more important that the degree, the angle, bearing edge, top and bottom, and the actual head, top and bottom, how you've got it tuned and what type of head it is. But anyway, that's just my thoughts. You can totally disagree with that. Guys, I am going to have to go. We've been going for almost an hour. It is so good to talk to everybody. I really appreciate these live videos, so I think we will keep going with these. Maybe one a week, maybe one a fortnight, I'm not sure. We will see how we go. I will be a bit more organized as well and actually get some topics going. Leaving it completely open like this is cool, because it means that I can try and respond to as many comments as possible, but it's also good sometimes to have a topic. Like we've had Ringo, right? And we've had Bill Ward, Neil Peart. It's nice to actually have a focus for this chat as well. But really good to get back into it. Try and remember how live videos work and all the technical side of it. So no, it's good to be back. And I really appreciate everybody watching. Check out tomorrow's video. It's a goodie. And I will catch you then. Take care. Ciao.